Welcome back to the World Trade Webcast. I'm Greg Sandler, president of thinkglobal.com, the B2B marketplace for global trade leads. This week on the World Trade Webcast, we're talking with Stephen Koprince, author of the Small Business Guide to Government Contracts, how to comply with key rules and regulations, and avoid terminated agreements, fines, or worse. Steve, thanks for joining us again today on the World Trade Webcast.
Thanks for having me again, Greg.
And Steve is a small business and government contracts attorney, and we've been talking about his book and its implications for small business owners. Steve, we've covered a lot of ground over the past 2 days, and today I thought we could talk about some of the common pitfalls that are faced by government contractors. And as you point out in the book, there are some areas that contractors really have to avoid to stay out of hot water. So how onerous are the reporting requirements, and what are some of the key takeaways for business owners in terms of how to avoid some of those pitfalls?
Sure. I feel for government contractors in some way because they're working in an industry in which there just is a lot of regulation, a lot of red tape, and it's kind of the price one pays for doing business with an entity that never runs out of money, I suppose. So there are a number of pitfalls that are associated with government contracting. Of course, way too many to go into all the details here, but some of the ones I most commonly see in my practice are, first of all, contractors who don't understand the size and affiliation rules. They're self-certifying as small businesses when in fact the SBA may later find out that they're not small. I find a second key pitfall that I see is contractors who don't understand really what needs to be done to create relationships with teammates for government contracting, especially subcontracting. The FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulation, for example, requires a number of clauses to be flowed down in subcontracts. I often work with clients who are using their commercial subcontracts in the government contract setting. Those aren't usually compliant. And third, I think that contractors need to be aware, especially in the service industry and the construction industry, of the wage and hour requirements that are associated with government contracting under specifically the Service Contract Act and the Davis-Bacon Act. I see a lot of contractors who don't fully understand the requirements to pay prevailing wages and fringe benefits, and that can really come back to haunt them.
Well, those are three excellent points, and hopefully there's some areas that will help contractors that read your book avoid those pitfalls. So now let's talk a little bit about reporting requirements and how onerous are they, and do government contractors need to constantly have their attorney on call? Do they need to have someone dedicated to administration in their office? What do they need to be aware of in terms of the actual requirements for meeting whatever the government wants for documentation?
Yeah, and Greg, it's going to vary a lot depending on the contractor here and their size and their socioeconomic status and the contracts they have. A lot of contractors are going to have to do contract-specific type reporting with their contracting officers. However, in terms of what more broadly a contractor may have to do as far as government contract reporting goes, contractors are often going to be required to report their subcontractors or their executive compensation, depending on the size. There's a FAR clause on this. It may or may not apply to a particular contractor. Contractors need to do some reporting regarding their employment practices, their employment of folks who are veterans, employment of folks who are maybe disabled. There's some reporting requirements on those issues. Within the 8A program, folks who have that designation need to do annual reports with the SBA and also need to provide the SBA with quarterly documentation regarding their joint ventures. And so there are some broad-based reporting requirements, but really a contractor's reporting requirements for the most part are going to be governed by who they are, their socioeconomic designation, the kinds of contracts they hold, and their size. I mean, those are really the factors that determine when and how much a contractor needs to report to the government.
Excellent. Thanks, Steve. And we're talking with Stephen Koprince, the author of The Small Business Guide to Government Contracts. And we'll be talking with Steve again tomorrow as we delve deeper into the book. for the fourth part of our interview. And for our latest schedule of upcoming Think Global webcasts, subscribe to us with any of the links below and bookmark this page. All of our previous episodes can be found right here at thinkglobal.com/webcast. And thanks for watching.